Hello, Mortgage Pros. Thank you for joining us for this week's Pro Performance. One thing that I hear from brokers all the time is everybody wants more referrals, but the question is always the same. How do you consistently earn them? Today's conversation isn't about marketing, lead generation, spending more money at all. It's really about creating such a great experience that clients can't help but talk about you afterward. That's where referrals come from. To help us unpack this, I have Scott Hill joining us today. Scott has built an incredible business through relationships and service, and with his wife's help, of course. And I think you'll hear some things that are immediately applicable to your own business. Scott, thanks for being here. Before we jump in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Hill Mortgage?
Sure. It all starts back to my. First of all, thanks for having me today. It's definitely an honor to be on with you guys today. It started back in my military days. I spent about 9.5 years in the Navy. Didn't quite know what I was going to do when I got out. Got introduced to the mortgage world like so many people. You don't learn about it in school. Someone tells you about it. I was 29 years old and got in as a mortgage banker initially. And this was back in 1997, around the end of the year. So I think if we look to next year, I should complete about 30 years of doing this. And the best thing that happened to me is I picked the right company on that day because I met my now wife, who's been part of my team all along, who's just, a huge part of the engine that runs how we do things. And she'd already been in the industry for 10 years, had an underwriting background, and I married her. Best decision that I could have done. And so yeah, she's been doing it now almost 40 years, and I'm almost 30 years doing this.
Wow.
Yep.
Congratulations. Number one, thank you for your service.
Oh, you bet. My
Number
pleasure.
two, it hurts me to tell you that I'm turning 32 in about a week. So you got some years on me, my friend. So I mean, if
Goes
you could
quick.
just do the quick like look back from then to now, like where do you think your business has evolved like the most from day one to day 30? If you have just a quick hit on that.
Yeah, so looking back, it started just learning how to write loans initially, but what I was really focused on is watching the interaction of loan officers that I was learning from. How do they interact with clients? How do they interact with business partners? I saw things I liked, I saw things I didn't like, and what I saw was the best loan officers were the ones that had the most outgoing personality, the had the sales side down. You can learn to do loans, but it's how do we interact with our customers and our clients? How do we show up every day? That energy that you need to bring. I found that is what drove sales the most. And you can always say, hey, I don't quite know that guideline, but I'll get back to you. And they don't care. It's how do you make them feel? And so I think as the loan officer's progressing through the process of gaining ground and gaining success, the biggest thing is be personable and bring a lot of energy is the best thing I can recommend.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good place to start because like when your business depends on referrals, it depends on, your word of mouth, client experience isn't just like important, it's everything. That energy you bring, that experience you
100%.
bring, that interaction you have. So that's a really, really good start here. I want to start off with our partner promises. Back in February of 25, we brought this to the broker industry, and these are the promises that Rocket is bringing to that community. Specifically, I want to touch base on number two today. Your clients are your clients. We're not poaching them. We don't compete for those relationships. The relationships you work hard to build belong to you. And that's important because everything we're talking about today is just an investment into your brand. So when did you start actually realizing? I know you said that's important now, but when did you start realizing it wasn't just customer service? It was actually like business development. It's a long game that you're going into.
I think it just started out with I've been in some I got to give some credit to some good coaching programs that I got into early on in my career. And I think you fast track your development by being around other producers. I think I at first, before I got into any of these programs, I felt like I was kind of on an island initially,
Sure.
and it's very lonely there in that world.
Yeah.
I probably about 3 times almost got out of the business. I almost said, you know what, I'm gonna go become a cop. This is taking too long. That's the biggest thing I tell everybody, man. It's just when you think it's not going to take off and you're ready to quit, that's when you got to stay in the game because it's around the corner. Your success is around the corner. But it's getting yourself immersed with other individuals that are on the same path that you're on, learning from them, asking questions, finding things that you like that they do and things that you don't like and don't do those, because we're all personal in how we grow our business and what we care about in our
Sure.
business. I think the more people you can get around, the faster you will develop as a loan officer.
Talk about being on an island. I remember my very first loan I've ever originated, and the lady asked me a question, and I was so new, so green that I was stuck like this, frozen on the sales floor, waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to come help me. So I know that feeling for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
So we'll kind of go through what we're going to explore today a little bit. We're going to go through what white glove really means, the client moments that matters the most, how great experiences create referrals, which we're kind of touching base on a little bit, and practical ways that you can elevate your journey from this moment on. When people think like white glove, a lot of people think luxury and they think the most expensive stuff. But what I found is most brokers that do this the best usually aren't spending a ton of money. That there's a care factor that goes into it. So if you were to explain white glove to someone and what white glove service means, how would you portray that to somebody, or how would you define it?
It's a great question. I like how you framed it. You're right. You don't need to spend a lot of money. I think that clients want to be heard. They're in fear. Number one, they're in fear, especially if they're new. And it's my job to take them by the hand. I tell clients often, I'm going to be your Sherpa. We're going to head up to the crest of Mount Everest. I'm going to tell you when to put your oxygen mask on, when to take it off. Hey, we're stopping tonight for at base camp. There's a storm coming in. I think when you set the stage that you're listening to them, and that you show leadership, and that you show concern and care, and you ask them the questions that matter most to them, you're setting the stage for a successful transaction all the way through. And then it's our job not to screw that up and keep delivering it. But white glove comes from listening, communication, and making them feel important. I would say, and
Yeah.
the rest, I think, is just the cherry on top.
I mean, for me, just some of the best experience that I've had, whether it's the business to client or the business to business journey that I've been on, had nothing to do with money, like you said. It's just about someone who was paying attention, that took that extra phone call or that extra little piece of whether it was an email or something, just filling somebody in. Because again, to you and I,
Yeah.
we experience mortgages thousands of times in a lifetime, and
Yes.
clients experience them like five. So
Yes.
it's really easy to get in that grind of like, hey, this is just an average service versus a white glove service.
Absolutely.
So we got a couple outcomes today that we're going to kind of go through. Like I said, creating memorable experience, that experience piece, building trust before, during, and after closing that you're talking about, like the Sherpa experience. Creating referrals moments, like naturally creating those times where you could set yourself up for success, and then turning borrowers into lifelong advocates, right? A book of business that is guaranteed yours, that is lifelong relationships. So the biggest piece, what we're going to start with is I really like this slide, is service is the strategy. Service is the game plan that you can kind of go about. And it flips the way people think about growth. I think a lot of people are planning for the end of 2026 into 2027, focusing on growth first and then their service second. With your business, with your wife, and how you go about it, how you shared with me a little bit, is you've built your business the other way around, where you look at your referral business today and how much was directly tied to the experience you've created for those clients. So have you gotten a referral from a person that didn't even mention like rates or pricing or strategy when it comes to like marketing? How did that come about when you would like create those things?
Awesome question.
Kind of loaded, I'm sorry, but I know it
Yeah,
was
that's
a good
okay.
one.
No, it almost never happens that I get referred because of rate or fees or anything like that. One of the reasons I don't pay for Yelp leads and things of that nature, although they hammer me every single day to sign up. If you don't talk about it, it's not an issue. And one of the things that is important too for your listeners is make sure that your real estate agents know how to refer you. If they're referring you for rates and fees, it's wrong, and you need to help them with their scripting. It's about the education, it's the hand holding. It's we're going to listen to you, the speed, the availability. Staying in touch afterwards. That is the most important thing in this process. And when you bring that to the forefront, the rest doesn't matter. Now, will it matter for a few people? Sure. But the majority of people, they want a house, they want a mortgage, and they want a great experience. No different than when you walk into a restaurant. You might accept average food, but you won't accept average service. If the service is phenomenal, you might even go back there and eat that meal again, even if it wasn't the best one going.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is the most important.
It's funny. I got a really good friend of mine that has built a business with, it's a construction company, and he's now like kind of blown up a little bit on social media and talking about some of these things. And he just had a great video, and he was talking about, sometimes people want just the cheapest that they can find, but then it's a really funny in that business that they have to call him second and say you got to fix what just happened. So you don't always want to be the cheapest or the lowest to the floor, right? So it's funny that you bring that up, because when would that ever be the call you want? Hey, I got referred over to you because you're the cheapest on the block.
Yeah,
It seems a little rough.
absolutely. And I always say that product, and service coming together forms value. And that's really what the client wants, value, whether they know it or not. They sometimes start out on price and then they realize, no, it's more about value. And you got to help them see that most of the time.
Sure. So we're gonna look at four different ways to kind of elevate the journey. That's a piece of this. And I really want to start at the beginning on your sales cycle, almost, I want to call it. How does that start? When you started off and the borrower hangs up the phone or that first meeting, what's the goal of you're trying to have them feel walking out of that meeting?
So whether we do it on Zoom, I leave it up to the client whether we do it on Zoom or over the phone. The first thing is when I start the call, you got to bring energy. That's you always talk about first impressions, whether it's a date or a business relationship or whatever. You got to bring energy. I think that first impression is critical. I want to ask a lot of questions, but I spend the first minute or two edifying the referring source because I think they find that. I don't know, shocking is not the word, but welcoming that I'm spending some time saying, that real estate agent that you sent over to us, they are phenomenal. Do you know the kind of experience you're about to get working with them? I've worked with them for a number of years. You're in such good hands. So I start off usually with that tone, and then we start getting into a little bit more about them and how do they know that agent and what have you. And then, I ask them a lot of questions about, I don't get right into asking them, hey, what do you make? What do you earn? What's your,
Yeah,
your bank? I want to know a little bit more about why do you want to buy a house? How did we get to this point? What are your
sure.
fears? What are you excited about? So that's kind of how we start out before we get launching into what that process might be like.
It's funny because obviously we're in sales, and you hear this a lot, strong first impressions. You hear that term a lot. And you have somebody that'll walk in and have a really firm handshake and want to take over a conversation, but a
Yes.
lot of people lack on like the warmth of a first impression. Like, is this person listening to me? Do they really care about the outcome, or are they just trying to steamroll me? So I like that you bring that up, because hey, the person that sent me over. Wow, you remember them too. That's incredible. That's awesome. What a feeling, right?
No, 100%. 100%.
So you have your first meeting, Zoom meeting, call, whatever that looks
Yeah.
like. You have that first one. What kind of expectations are you setting after the first interaction?
Yeah, so expectations are going to be that they're going to be listened to. No questions are dumb. I don't care if you ask the same question over and over again. This is your experience. We are honored. We're blessed to be helping you. You could have gone to anyone. So this is for you. And our job, it's in our tagline, Home Loans Simplified. We want to see it to be a simple process. I tell them, hey, the only thing I can't do is come to your house and climb in your file cabinets and find your paperwork, but we pretty much can do the rest. And then I let them know, I send out my email to them with the link. They can start filling out their application, upload, let them know how easy it is, that we're a phone call away if they struggle with any of that. And that my team's going to conduct an initial review, let them know if we're missing anything. I always joke that nobody is ever 100% on all their paperwork. They make
Yeah,
mistakes. I go, maybe you're going to be the first one that's going to get it 100%. We have a little fun. And that's the other thing I want to bring to how I do things. I bring fun into it all the way through. I think that is so critical, especially for a new loan officer that struggles with that.
yeah.
Figure out how to be more fun because it takes the edge off of the client and it just sets the tone for the entire process going forward.
I mean, think about it. A brand new loan officer, new to the business, gets their first, yes, I want to move forward with you. And then you have to go through, hey, we're just getting started. I got to get your pay stubs, your W-2s. There's a little anxiety. We call them the sales pits of asking someone to do something after they just agree to it. So expectations are huge. I like that you bring fun to it, positivity to it,
Yeah.
because this is a big thing. Because next step is that you get off the phone with them, then they go talk to their Uncle Bob, we call him, that has a credit union down the street that's at 2% that's cheaper when rates
Yeah,
have been at sevens for the last 5 years. You know what I mean? So
right.
it's good. It's a good
100%.
attitude to bring to it.
Yeah,
This is going to be putting you on the spot a little bit
sure.
because obviously we're talking about experience and memorable moments is another big piece, one of those four factors there. What's something you've done that just wasn't expected but got you remembered, if you can think in your career?
One time we had a transaction a long time ago where there were some things going wrong. It was a clunky deal. Income was a challenge. The client was um, not the easiest to work with, but
You all had them?
yeah, it was just, it's one of those ones where, gosh, you're doing everything right, but there's some issues with underwriting, and it's just, the clients, you could tell not super happy or what have you. And I told my wife, I said, we're gonna end this on the right tone. I said, this client's gonna see that we want them to have a great experience, even if it's out of our control and they just think it's not a great experience. And we got all set up for the signing. And I told them, don't drive to the signing, but I want you ready about 30 minutes before. I sent a limo over to pick them up to drive them to the signing and to take
Love
them
that.
home. And so that's one thing that sticks to my mind that I did to make sure that that client had a great experience. Because my horror is that a client doesn't have a great experience. I would rather not earn a commission than hear someone didn't like how we serviced them or took care of them. Like
Sure.
it keeps me up at night. So to me, that's what comes to my mind
I mean,
for
talk about white glove, right? That's luxury right there at its finest. Hey, you're gonna go
yeah,
sign this paperwork, but here's a limo for you. I love that.
yeah,
The next piece that I really fell in love with as a loan officer and as this kind of like business consultant role that I'm in now is these post-closing connections. I think a ton of people lose opportunities at this step. Loan closes, everyone's happy, and then they just expect that the relationship's peachy. They
yeah,
expect that my clients are never going to call anybody else. They're just going to call me directly. But there's zero follow-up with it.
yeah,
There's nothing that's going on with that.
yeah,
And we've experienced like different ways. I know there's a ton out there like drip campaigns and you can pay for
yeah.
this, but like I'm just thinking of the simple stuff. Like have you wrote them a birthday card? Have
Okay,
you sent
yeah,
out like a calendar for the sports team in their area? And there's so many different things that people just don't do.
yeah.
Is there anything you do that's specific after closing to keep you connected to those clients?
I want to start what you said first. You said, people, you can't keep everyone or they don't stay in touch or what have you.
Sure.
I always say, listen, what's the divorce rate? It's 50%. And that's, you're divorcing the mother of or father of your children. So we're not going to keep everyone. It's just the
Sure.
way it is. But we can limit that loss to some degree. I think that that's where most people lose, like you said, is after, and we've all gotten busy. We've all dropped the ball. When that refi boom hit in 20, what was it 2021,
Yeah.
22, it was hard to keep up with everyone. So
Sure.
that is why I want to say your process going through the operations part has to be so memorable that even if you don't get to someone or you don't send them out a closing gift or whatever, don't make it about that. Make it about what they remember it was like and then stay in touch with them. So what I usually do on day of closing, I make it a big deal. I record a video for them. I use a PowerPoint screen that's already done with, going over, hey, these are the most important documents you need to hold on to. Here's what comes next. Your loan may, start out with Rocket, but then you may see a different name. That's going to be a servicer or what have
Yeah.
you. Then do you have an impound account? What is supplemental taxes? And then I talk to him about, hey, I'm going to be putting you on. Can we mention an outside
Of
affiliate company,
course.
HomeBot? I use HomeBot. I dump them in there. Everyone seems to love HomeBot, so I use HomeBot.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned, it'd be wonderful if we did a great job, you'd be referring us, and so on and so forth, so on and so forth. But the birthday cards, I have that automatically done on email if I can't get to anyone.
Yeah.
If it's a day that I'm super busy, I have to rely on that. But if I'm not, then it's going to go to phone call or text. And then I like to call on the day of their first payment coming due so that they remember that that's their first payment. So again, it's showing that, this wasn't just a one-time thing, close,
Yeah.
get commission and move
100%.
on. I'm here for you, and then I want to call them at the 6 month mark. And if after we've hit that mark, maybe we could save them a few bucks. Great. What are the questions? How is moving in? How is the neighbors? How are the neighbors? And then call them on their anniversary. I think all those are critical. And some people do all that. Some people do a little bit about that. But if you're going to do one thing, it's that operations part more than anything.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you don't stay in touch, it's going to be tough to get everyone to come back.
I mean, just think about like the dates that you receive while you're taking an application.
Yeah,
Birthdays, you get a start date. Like, imagine you just keep track of, hey, this is going to be this person's 10-year work anniversary because I have their start date and I can call them and wish them a congratulations. Like, you get these dates, and how easy is it to throw an Outlook reminder to give that person a call? So, it is a lot in that application operations of where you're keeping track of it, staying organized. I remember back in my day, we went on a referral frenzy and we were just going asking for referrals. And my goal was to try to get as many Christmas cards sent to me from clients versus
yeah,
the other way around.
yeah.
And to this day, I still get a Christmas card from one client that will not take me off, and I stay in touch with it to this day. And I haven't
That's
originated in eight
awesome.
years, so it cracks me up.
Real
You
quick, I
mentioned
want to add one more
something.
thing that I
Yeah,
think the listeners are going to find important. Keep your ears open when you're talking to your clients. Listen for those moments where they share something with you. Maybe their child just made the soccer team. Maybe that remodeling project that they've been putting off is finally done. Maybe they had just had a loss of a family member. Get out a note card, handwrite a card to them, send it off. Most people don't do that. It shows you care and that you're
yeah.
listening to them. That is one of the most powerful things I think I've ever done. And it takes you, what, 2 minutes to do that.
Yeah, that's a great transition for the next question here. But you mentioned something I don't want to skip over. The tee up for a referral ask, a natural referral ask. You were going through, I'm going to set my expectations from closing to the first payment, and you said you actually bring it up in that conversation, which I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Loans closed. There's going to be a 6 week or a 4 week lull of anything. What a time to do it. How does that look for? Is that the only time you ask? Is it a couple times? When do you do that?
I usually do it in the first conversation because I think that's important. I think
Okay.
that the average customer just assumes our business just comes flying in. That's what I always thought. When I look at businesses, especially when I was younger, I just, oh, business just comes to people. But no, it's not that way in our industry. We're going to get it from our past clients. We're going to get it from our real estate and our business partners, and their referrals. So I let them know that referrals is so valuable to us, and that it would be such an honor to serve someone in their name, and that we're going to ensure that we give them the same experience that that they had with us. And then do I do it every time? No, I forget sometimes through the process, but I
Sure.
know that we're wowing them every way through. So I'll remember halfway through, mention it again, and then remind them again at closing, and then the future times when I talk to them. So you got to plant the seed early, get it in their head, because they're going to hit some highs,
Yeah.
but let's face it, after they move in and get back into life and the kids are crying and work's tough and I
Yeah.
got a mortgage now, it's easy to forget if we don't remind them. And so you got to do it afterwards, but you got to set it early on in the process, because they're most referable while you're going through the operations part of it with them.
And, a guy like you, I wouldn't be shocked if you're doing the same thing with the real estate agent, the title company you're working with, everybody that you're interacting in that whole process, even the homeowner's
Right.
insurance agent you're talking to. So
Right.
I like to plant the seed early, follow up on it. Don't be afraid to ask. It's a good piece.
That's right. Don't
Um,
be
the,
afraid.
the next piece, we touched on this quite a bit, and we're not going to spend too much time because you literally went into this. You went in pretty
Yeah.
detail. Is how well do you know your clients? So
Yeah.
I came from a refi world, and it's very easy to say, hey, I can drop you a quarter of a point in rate. It's very easy to call your past client and say rates are lower. But how much do you know about it? Is their kid getting married? Are they going to college? Or bills getting stacked up? How much do you know? Those questions are so impactful of just on that follow-up touching base. And it does show you care, and you're giving a mortgage review, but you're really touching base on their life and how everything's going. Did work change, etc. So you went into detail there, and I think
Yeah.
there's a personable moment with writing a card if something big is
Oh,
happening with them, which is awesome. But simply checking in to see how they're doing has been a big, big thing with a lot of my partners in my career in the past of
yes.
doing that every 6 months to see what's going on in their life.
100%. It means a ton to them. It shows you care. You weren't a commission only loan officer. You've become a friend, a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the clients will call me and ask, "Hey, do you know so and so? I need some work done at the house. I'm thinking about buying a car or whatever." Because for many people, you are their only trusted advisor. And I sometimes offer. Let's face it, clients get financially naked in front of us, right?
Yeah.
And I find it sometimes helpful to talk to the clients on the side a little bit about, hey, have we thought about maybe upping our retirement contributions a little bit? Retirement's around the corner. I'm putting you in debt, but I also want you to be able to afford the house and
Yeah.
eliminate some of the consumer debt you have and have this great retirement. And we can talk about strategies to pay off the mortgage and everything, but help find ways to help them other than just saying, I'm giving you a loan,
Yeah.
and getting to know them and help them personally and financially just welds you together, that partnership that kind of becomes a friendship.
I mean, think about just pulling up somebody's credit report and realizing that they're in a spot that you can maybe assist in helping that out. Do you stop at, hey, I can give you $50,000 or I can save you 200, or do you walk them through a game plan of being that, wealth team that's included with all the people that they speak to, whether it's a money management person or even insurance agent, like be a part of that wealth management
Yeah,
team is huge, is absolutely huge.
absolutely. 100%.
When it comes down to that, I think that there's a lot of loan officers that get nervous, but
Hmm.
you have to think the client really is not getting led one way or the other in this world. Like they're at it on their own. So being able to step up as a professional, looking at thousands of credit reports, thousands of profiles in a year, you are that trusted advisor. So you have to have the confidence to be able to ask those questions, whether it's retirement, current debt, or what their plans are for the year. So I really love that. And I hope that's a takeaway. If you are listening to this out there, I want you to start thinking about some of those questions that you can ask your clients in your first conversations that will dig a layer deep. Is it, hey, what's your plans with your kids? Are they going to college? Or is it, what's your retirement plans? Think about those questions and start putting them into your day to day. Because it's going to help the next 5 conversations with the client or the next 10 conversations with the next 10 clients. Think about the things you can kind of speed up with that.
Absolutely.
This is leading right into it too. Personal details. Personal details about a client. I know we just spoke about it. This changes the entire relationship. It's kind of going hand in hand with that. The story does matters, and to tie that into what the solution you're bringing is a big deal. So we're going to skip over because we just kind of went at lengths with that one. But
Sure.
the one I want to talk because you mentioned this to me is your wife's kind of your sidekick. She processes, she does a good job through the process with that. So what's that one thing when you do the handoff and you're speaking with setting the expectations? What's that one thing that your team or your wife and you do that really changes the client's experience once you go from application to actually going into underwriting? Not necessarily closing the first payment, but application to here's the next 30 days or next 20 days. What does that look like? What does that picture look like?
Yeah. So, I introduced my wife. I obviously let everyone know that, she's going to be a big part of the communication throughout this process. And she really, really takes that and runs with it in communicating with the real estate agents and our clients. And one of the things that she does, especially for the real estate agents, is she does all the communication, all the updates for them. I tell our agents, listen, your job is to go get more business. Our job is to make your client that you sent to us have an awesome experience so that they're going to bring more business back to us together. So she's keeping the agents updated, both sides, listing and buyer side, all the way through. She'll talk to clients and help them create any of their letter of explanations. They're going to sign it, of course, and sign and let us know that that's accurate information that's there. But she helps them with that. And then one of the huge things that real estate agents love and the clients love is she helps arrange the signings. She'll call up the buyer's agent. So I know you want to be at the signing. Tom and Sue are ready to go to sign off on their loan documents this Thursday at 2 o'clock. Does that work for you? And she arranges that for both buyer and buyer's agent so that they can both be there. Agents love that because they don't have to do any of that. So that's one of the things that I think both on the realtor side and the buyer side that she does. And then it's just constant communication all the way through. All the
Yeah.
way through the process, every milestone, we're letting them know what's going on. And what that does is it eliminates calls in, it eliminates fear. And when you do that, you're elevating the customer experience.
Think about sales as a philosophy in general. You never want to be backpedaling. You never want to be thrown off guard.
Right.
So think about that. It's a Saturday and you're getting a call from both sides of the real estate transit. Like people have had those conversations, they don't want them. Having that upfront communication keeps you from having to backpedal ever of trying to say, oh, I'm sorry I didn't do this or XYZ. So I think it's fantastic that not only you're a part of it, but your team that works your loans with you is a part of it and keeping everybody in the same loop. So it's a big win and it's overlooked. I mean, it's overlooked a lot. It's
One
tough
other
to
thing,
say, but
well,
it
I'll
is.
mention about, you said one other thing we do for the clients that I've gotten a ton of feedback is about 6 or 7 years ago, I started trying to figure out how can I streamline my time
Yeah,
and how can I make what I'm about to go into, which is, you know, a summary of the loan program that we're going to do. How can I make that memorable? How can I cut down on call time? And so I started using video and I started recording my screen. And it was probably the best thing that I ever did because I control my time. I can talk as fast as I want. I can get everything out of my head and I can get it into the video. And what it
sure.
does is the clients forget a lot of what we talk about. So they can go back and watch it a week later and get a refresher. That's one call I'm not getting. Or I can't make an appointment with both borrowers at the same time and they want to do it at 7 at night. No, I'll record it at 2 o'clock and husband watches it at 3, wife comes home, watches it at 5. We're both on the same page now. One
Yeah,
doesn't have to try to explain everything to the other, and the calls coming in just drops completely. And you're a pro. They can watch
yeah.
it on the go. And now I'm working on something else while I'm still working, meaning they're watching the video. So I'm working twice at the same time, if that makes any sense. Um, greatest tool I recommend loan officers use is start using video more.
Yeah, another very simple one for the iPhone users that I know a broker of mine uses is when they're presenting loan options and they're going through that, they do it with a follow-up. They do an audio recording in their iPhone, so it's an audio message, so they can go show husband or wife or significant other, hey, this is what it looks like if we don't get a face-to-face conversation. Like, just this is a reminder. If you have any questions, give me a call if
It's
they're on the
awesome.
fly. So love
Awesome.
that. Very, very probably misused, not used as much as it should be, but what an idea to be, hey, you know what? I'm going to record this. I can circle back to it 100 times if I have to.
Yep.
And then you can just set the right expectations.
And they
This
do.
is the good one that I wanted to hear from you. I've been looking forward to this question because this is it all. This is everything that makes this whole thing kind of run is staying connected without sounding like a salesperson in your local community, with your real estate agents, with that. How can you frame it where you can stay connected to the people on the ground, the people working with you, without sounding like a salesperson, without you sounding like I'm asking for something, specifically in that like business to business relationship,
Sure.
realtors, title companies, stuff like that?
So I'd say I'm unique in the sense, not necessarily a good way, but I'm not a huge social media guy. I never have been. I try it, I do it, whatever. The stats bear it out. It's not the number one way to get business. It's relationships.
Yeah.
And real estate agents is the number one thing that grew my business. And so when I didn't have any business, the first thing I did when I was getting started out is I went to the title company that I started working with and I had them introduce me to some agents. I got working with those agents, proved myself, then got them to refer other agents, and then that's kind of where it grew. And what I found was whenever you go meet with an agent and you bring it, you bring your personal, you ask them questions, you actually care about their business. They know that. They see it. You build trust because let's face it, a real estate agent's putting their two things on the line: their reputation and their commission check.
Yeah.
And when they send you that first deal and then you deliver on everything you said, you're setting the tone for spokes coming off of a hub, if you will, of more business. And then those clients become your refi business. So it's relationships. So it's you talk about how do you maintain it? Go have coffee with them. Go have a meal with them every so often. The industry tells you, oh, call them every Monday. You don't need to call them every Monday.
No.
I that is the I don't like that. And I think
Yeah.
it's okay if you're starting out and you don't know what to do. I don't My agents don't want me to call them every Monday.
No.
They're out trying to get business so that I can take awesome care of them. So I think it's stay in relationship with them. That's not sounding salesy. I think it's asking more questions than you speak, right? Ask deep questions of your clients. Hey, why are you moving to this neighborhood? Or, hey, why does this school district matter to you? How old are your kids, right? Ask questions, and that to me, and then listen. Stop talking. We talk too much in sales,
Yeah.
and I think the more you ask questions and just listen, and they sense that they're being heard, that relationship just shoots through the roof, and just replicate that over and over and over with everybody that you're working with as far as business partners and customers.
Beautiful. Let's bring this whole thing together. Bring it to the end here. We're going to ask like what creates this sustainable referral growth? What does it? It's all of the things we talked about.
Yeah,
It's not just one
100%.
thing. It's
Hmm.
doing it consistently, bringing your positive energy, having a good impression, creating these moments, creating an experience, being personable, caring about your clients, being that obvious choice of someone that they want to work with,
Yeah.
right? Knowing the person on the other end cares about you makes it so much easier to trust them with your biggest financial
Mhm.
decision, and then say, hey, you know what? Brother, sister, mom, dad, friend, use my guy, use my
Yeah.
gal, use my
Yeah.
person, right? So it's
100%.
it's a little bit of everything. I know we touched on a lot. What to remember? What to take away from this? Know your client, not just the loan. Know everything about your client. Make every touch point personal, whether it is a video, whether it's a handwritten note, whether it's just congratulations on closing, sending a limo to the signing. Call them on their first payment day to say, here you go, you're ready to roll. Whatever that is, make it a personal touch on a specific moment that you can create for that client. And then white glove service, that luxury service creates clients for life because they are going to continue to work with you, create referrals with their network, just because you're all over it. So for you, I want to say thank you, my friend. It's been a great conversation. Is there anything that you want to just leave the listeners with before we kind of tee up the next pro performance?
I'll give you guys a shameless plug. There's a lot of wholesale lenders out there. They're not all equal. You guys create that white glove service for us as brokers. The speed is there, both in how fast loans move through the pipeline, and I've never seen my answers get questioned or get questions get answered faster than when I call SOS. So keep doing what you're doing, and brokers, you need to have a great wholesale partner with you every step of the way. And if you can go create sales and then you can have speed through the operations, you're just gonna, how can you not blow up?
Yeah. Love that. Love the plug too. Thank you again for this. This was great. If I take one thing away, it's these referrals, they're not something that you can chase. It's something that you earn by doing all the right things. So it's not about being the loudest or the most expensive. It's about actually caring about it. So anybody listening, take that away from this. Next week, please join us for our August 6th Power Play, or sorry, our Pro Performance, talking about the August Power Play, what we're rolling out next Tuesday, I believe. So if you need anything, please reach out to your account executive, your director of your divisional vice president, and we would love to have you next time. Thank you so much.